All right, hey everybody. Thanks for joining us. Sorry we're a little bit late, but we're just getting started now. My name's Brett Little. I'm the Executive Director at the Green Home Institute, and welcome to our first ever Facebook Live broadcast as part of our online education series that we're doing. Real quick, if you don't know who we are, the Green Home Institute is a nonprofit organization with a mission to empower people to make healthier and more sustainable choices in the renovation and the construction of the places we live. We're headquartered in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we oversee training, education, and green building certification throughout the Midwest. I'm here today with the designer and architect of this project, Michael Carlson, as well as Greg Mulder from Kaufman Electrical, who worked on the solar. And then the builders, True North Homes, right?
Homes by True North.
Homes by True North. Alex here, who's going to be talking about the construction of the process. So we're going to be doing a virtual tour for all of you to join us. Come on inside. As we're going throughout this, please don't hesitate to ask any questions. And our communications director, who's manning the camera, Angela Top, say hi, Angela.
Hello.
Is going to be facilitating the questions and getting those answered. So we're going to be going through about another hour here, and at this point I'm going to just real quick have our other presenters just quickly introduce themselves and then their business, and then we'll get going. So why don't we start with you, Greg?
Kaufman Electrical Equipment. We basically supplied the solar system. See on the roof here, it's a 7,200 watt system. Basically should provide most of the power for the house. And we also work on integrating high efficiency LEDs and high efficiency heating equipment in designing net zero homes.
I'm Alex Guzin with Homes by True North, and we were the builder for the project.
And I'm Michael Carlson, Carlson Studio Architecture. We were the architecture firm that did the project. We're based in actually Sarasota, Florida, with the offices in Seattle, Washington as well, and we are licensed in 5 states, so we work up in Michigan and enjoy working in different climates actually. So we're 20 years old this year, Carlson Studio is, and we're happy to be here with Brett to see this house.
So you've had a LEED project before in Florida. Can you just briefly tell us about what you've done with that?
Yeah, we have. So this is our famous project for our firm. We did the HGTV house, the 2009 Green Home, which is in Stuart, Florida, and it's a LEED Platinum certified home. It was our first Platinum home, and it was really fun to work with HGTV and go through all of that. It was the first project HGTV ever certified through LEED, so it was really cool.
Great. So this house is, if you're wondering where you are, or where this is at, we're in, for you energy folks out there, we're in climate zone 5, what meaning that can get to you.
It's important.
So not as frigid as 6, but definitely a colder climate zone, certainly not temperate. This particular house, we are just south of Grand Rapids, Michigan, in a more rural area as to where you might be located. And I believe this is sort of rural, not quite rural, because it looks like we're in more of a suburban sort of area, correct?
It is, but there's no density here, for sure.
There's no connectivity, right?
No, there's no connectivity to public transit or anything like that, and there's not really any density. We're on a small lake just south of Grand Rapids.
Yeah, and one thing that you want to note is that this project is pending for Platinum.
Correct.
Right, that's what it's going for. And a lot of times folks believe that Platinum projects have to be in urban, dense areas to pick up a lot of those location points for busing, biking, community resources. But I think this kind of goes in the face that if you put your resources into other areas such as energy efficiency and water conservation and site and community, that you can have a nice LEED Platinum home that's not in an urban area.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So we'll show you that there today. So real quick, you can take a look at the house and you can see that we've got solar energy at the top. You might be able to see it a little bit up there. So Michael, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the commitment of using the sun both in a passive and through photovoltaics for this project?
Sure. It's really the key to the design solution is the passive solar features, and then we supplement it able to put PV on the proper roof area. So you're looking at the south face of the house, but the main body of the house actually faces about 35 degrees west of south, and that was the lot we were given, and that's the views to the lake. So panels are, there's this funky shaped roof up there. It's kind of trapezoidal, it looks like, from down here. And what we did with the design is we actually took the biggest area of roof and we rotated it 20 degrees to the south. So that main roof area up there is actually within 15 degrees now of due south, which is an underlying LEED criteria. You don't get a credit for that in our particular case, but we'd like to see the PV within 15 degrees of due south. So it actually, besides giving us great exposure to the sun all the time, all year round, it made the house, twisting the house 20 degrees in the middle of the house, created beautiful, very cool spaces inside. So it does do what it wants to do passively, but we also utilized it to really create beautiful indoor spaces that are a little bit, they're not rectilinear like you're used to in a regular house. So when we go inside, you're going to see these dynamic spaces, these ceilings that don't, they rise from low to high, but they do it at a different angle than this room is down below, so it really works out well. Energy Star shingles, you can see the white shingles to keep the heat from coming in the house. And all this south-facing roof, you could actually add more PV on this house in the future as costs come down and things, everything works better in PV. And so anyway, so this is the southern exposure. Lots of roofs, lots of potential. We did actually choose not to do solar thermal. We're actually making energy through the PV that supplements the house and creates the electricity to heat the water. And that was I think Greg suggested in the end, it was that the solar thermal wasn't necessarily a great solution in this particular house, but we could have done it, and we still could do it in the future as that becomes more cost effective as well.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's really the key to the design is the passive solar orientation and being solar ready and putting just over 7 kW of PV
7
on that
kW.
roof.
Yeah,
So-
can you tell us a
Yeah,
little
the
bit about
actual-
these solar panels?
These are basically made in Michigan panels. They're actually made in Traverse City, or just south of Traverse City. And they're basically 300 watt, 72 cell panels. They're in 2 strings, so that we basically maximize the strings. We're using a low voltage startup inverter with maximized strings, so we basically are getting the most power that we can out of the system. We did, when we actually looking at a solar thermal, we actually had a solar thermal system that we can actually put on the bottom of the panels, so you don't have a separate racking issue. It just, based on the way the usage of the house and how it was being used, just didn't quite make economic sense.
And so I see you actually have some extra space on the roof, so you were saying there might be an ability in the future to add more solar if you needed to. Is that something that can be plugged in pretty easily?
Yeah, basically could easily put in a second system underneath the existing system once we find, but a lot of it is also based on the energy efficiency of the house. We may actually find that it's not necessary. So it basically makes more sense to see where the power is, usage is, and then because this should produce close to 8,000 kilowatt hours a year.
There is actually a metal roof under the PV panels as well,
Right.
which is a much longer lasting roof system.
True.
It's more expensive, obviously. Metal is more expensive in the front end, but it's actually less expensive in the long term through the life cycle cost. But we did choose to put it under the PV panel so it would be there for longer than the PV panel, so you would never have to remove the PV panels, change out the shingles,
Yeah.
put the PV panels back up. The metal roof will be there forever.
And
so.
typically those metal roofs have recycled content in them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like you said, they're gonna last forever there.
Yeah.
And the PV panels are designed so that the warranty on them is they'll produce up to 80% of their power for 25 to 30 years. And they will continue to produce power beyond that. So you really, when you're looking at PV, you want to design a roof that's designed for at least a 30 to 40-year life, so you don't have to take them down the road, because it is a permanent design.
Yeah.
So Is it really the metal roof kind of because of the PV there? Because I see, you know, you've got shingles on the rest of the house. Was it more of just so you didn't have to replace that?
Right.
Is that?
Well, ideally, if we had an unlimited budget, we would
Right,
put metal
yeah.
everywhere,
Right.
and we didn't.
Yep.
No project has an unlimited budget,
Sure, you
at
gotta
least
make
not that I've
selections.
worked on.
Yeah.
And so we decided to use it in the place that made the most sense, which was the place that would be the hardest to change out the shingles. So yeah, we put our money where it made the most sense.
I think one other benefit of doing that also is that with the standing seam metal roof, we didn't actually have to penetrate into the roof system to anchor the racking. We were able to use a clamp that clamps right to the seam.
That's a really good point.
So from a
It's-
durability standpoint, that was a big positive as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up durability. One last thing as we're in this
Yeah.
area is, you know, one of the small portions of LEED that doesn't get highlighted too much is durability and keeping water away from the house, keeping the house from rotting. Typically you'd think this is always built into projects, but sometimes it gets missed. So, you know, just I'm looking at it, you've got downspouts here directing the water. It looks like away from the house, maybe into the landscape.
Into a rain garden,
Into
actually.
into the rain garden, and then obviously I'm assuming it's sloped towards the lake here to keep the water down. So
Yeah.
maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, a few things. So it is a very durable design. So it's got hardy plank horizontal siding, which is cementitious. It's not wood, so it won't rot. It'll stay just like it is. It's like putting cement on the side of your house. And we did use some of it's a cement-based wainscoting there of the stone. It's simulated stone from Borel to kind of keep the base of the building protected. Great long-lasting roof. Again, is durability. Great windows. And everything drains kind of away from the house. The patios are all sloped for positive drainage to keep everything moving away. And the other side of the house, the ground actually slopes away fairly intensely. So there's never anything that's going to be running towards the house. And you did mention, Brett, especially on this side where since the south-facing roofs all come this way, the water also drains this way. So we've been able to pipe that water underground, and it actually comes up into the rain garden. And the sand is the soil is sandy, so it's very pervious. So what we're trying to do is percolate all the natural rainwater right back into the aquifer, just like the house wasn't here. And we're able to do that through the rain garden.
Well, why don't we start heading on in and then talk a little bit more about the site and landscape.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the street side of the house. There's an emergency generator actually for backup power that's natural gas powered right there. And actually what you're looking at right now is the existing garage. So this site had an old cottage from the 50s that was on it. And what we were able to do is we were able to keep the existing garage, which is actually non-conforming and too close to the road, so we couldn't have ever rebuilt it where it is. And we put a new roof on the existing garage so that we could sort of tie it in with the design of the new house. But not tearing stuff down and taking it to the dump is another subtle, sustainable feature that sort of goes unnoticed, but it is an existing garage. So here's the front entry. Hardy plank siding, great doors, great windows. We threw a little steel here and there, you'll see as we tour around the house. And welcome. This was an existing lot. And the landscaping that you're going to see here is all native Michigan plants. So it's beautiful actually and full of color, plus it doesn't have a lot of watering needs. The plants can exist based on the rainfall that happens. The sod and the seeding has just happened, so the grass is not as nice as it will be in a while. But there's actually, if you look down the side of the house, it's actually, there's a turf block system, which is a plastic grid system that sits underneath the ground that you can't see, but it's a black waffle thing. They're black squares about 3 inches square that stabilize the ground, because this is actually where the boat launch is as it comes down the side of the house. So there's a stabilized subbase under all the grass so that beginning and end of season, we can bring the boats down to the lake and bring them back out without having to tear up all the grass.
Yeah, typically you usually see cement or a driveway or tracks leading down. So is this pretty unique, pretty standard when you looked into doing this? What?
Well, it's not anything crazy.
Right.
So it's not very standard, like as far as people don't do it very often.
Yeah, they usually put in cement or.
But it's a proven system. It works well. Actually, where Angela's standing and videoing, this whole front yard is actually all this turf block system. So when we have overflow, actually you can see it as the grass is. You can see it right there actually, as the grass is filling in. But the client often has a lot of visitors, especially in the beautiful Michigan summers. So you can actually park when the parking fills up on the street. You can actually park on this grass. You can get 4 or 5 cars out here, and on this stabilized subbase. So, but why have asphalt there or pavement there 365 days a year when you might use it 4 days a year?
Right.
So it's pervious. Again, we're trying to let the hydrical cycle of the rainfall go into the ground like it always has traditionally.